Hello and welcome to Seagulls Social Season 3 Episode 13, and I'm joined with the boys as always, Ben and Maz, and obviously myself. And we can be positive today, guys, unlike the last one, because I tell you what, we lost 3-1, but we played very well. We went to the Etihad and played a very, very respectable game. And I'm going to start off with you boys. How was the weekend and what are you thinking of the game? Start with you, Ben.
Shit. Well, you're going to say classic, but basically it was like two of my friends' birthdays this weekend, so Friday night and Saturday night. So for the first time I'd done back-to-back nights out, and it was extremely tough. No, genuinely, that's the first time in a long time, so I feel awful. Got back at it's like 6:30 yesterday morning. It was horrendous. So today I feel very jaded, but the game was good. That was a positive. That's just like sums up City, doesn't it? Like the second half when we were playing really well, you think, oh my god, we could actually get an equaliser here.
Yeah.
And then De Bruyne goes down the other end and scores an absolute worldie, and that just sums up the levels that they're at compared to every other team in this league. So yeah, a good performance. That's the only positive thing.
Yeah, Maz, how was your weekend, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, I had a shoot on Sunday, which I went down to the Spurs stadium. I went down there. It was nice. when the storm hit, so it was horrendous. But that was
you had your bucket hat on though, so
yeah, I had my bucket hat on, so all good. But yeah, you know, that side, it was I was really happy with the performance. I thought we done really well. Was it 51% possession?
53,
53. So to do that at the Etihad against this Man City side, like, come on, we can't. I know, you know, possession doesn't win games, and well done for having more possession. Than Man City.
What a win!
What a win! Yeah, what a win! But it's, you know, the final score 3-1, but when it was 2-1 after Trossard scored, I thought we had a good little spell. Which we could have gone on and got an equaliser potentially,
easily,
but then that absolute worldie from De Bruyne just killed the game off, and there you go, that's good night. And that just shows the quality for me, the clear disparity between a side like ourselves and Man City, who are arguably the best team in the world. So look, to lose 3-1 at the Etihad, I'm not mad, and I've seen some of the clips as well that have come out of the Zerbi ball just fills me with a lot of confidence going into the Chelsea game. So there's no reason for me to worry at all.
And even some of the City fans, sorry, before you give your verdict, Ryan, but even some of the City fans were like tweeting saying Brighton are the best team to come to the Etihad this season, that sort of thing. Obviously, registered 8 shots at the Etihad, which not many teams can do. And of course, having more possession than them is even madder, I think, for a stat, because especially.
And I think also City, they only had like 1 shot on target second half, which is mad to say, which was that worldie from Kevin De Bruyne. So we literally minimalised them and really controlled the game. So I think, you know, obviously Palace fans are going to take the mic and say what a win and everything. But overall, I'm pretty happy because, you know, De Zerbi's, 5th game in now? To go to the Etihad, to go to Anfield and come away with 1 point and playing well in both games, I would be, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. Leandro Trossard was, you know, his goal I thought was probably better than it was when I saw it back, when maybe Ederson will be kicking himself and not doing better. But he seems to be on fire when we go away from home. And I think he's now got something like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's something like 8 or 9 in those last 12 goals for games.
Really?
Sorry, should I say? Right, sorry, I ran out of 4G in 2022. How embarrassing. Anyway, what I was saying initially was Trossard has 8 in 12, I think, if I'm right in saying, 8 goals in his last 12 games. I might be wrong. It might be like 6 or 7, something like that. But 8 in 12, give or take, is mad stats for a player in our team. He's really, like, you know, grown into that talisman role now, hasn't he? You know how we've always been saying we need that like out and out man who's our go-to for a goal. We haven't had that in so long, probably since Murray went. So to have that in Trossard now, I mean, he takes on players as well. He's got so much more confidence going forward. Oh my god. Okay, so I've now dipped out twice in the space of about a minute.
2022.
In 2022, I literally have Wi-Fi. I'm using my 4G basically because everyone has a go at me for Wi-Fi, and I use 4G and I ran out in 2022. Embarrassing. Anyway. Here we are, part 3 of talking about Trossard. I think
after 3 minutes of the podcast,
I think he has 8 goals in 12 games. I could be wrong in saying. People can correct me in the comments. I don't know. But anyway, my point is, our out-and-out talisman is now in Trossard, and he's almost our, you know, go-to guy for a goal now. And we probably haven't had that since Glenn Murray. I would probably say anyway. And we've been saying on the pod for ages we've needed that. You know, like Villa have Grealish for so long, Palace have Zaha, etc.
Well, he's had Knockout as well, similar kind of role.
And my question is to you, because obviously, you know, the thing about his contract isn't quite true. We do have the extension for a year. But are you anywhat worried that Trossard could potentially leave? Something mad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who wouldn't want to be interested in him? A top 6 club must look at him and think, wow, if he's doing that for Brighton, what can he do for us? Like, with the quality players around him, if he's getting... Like, don't get me wrong, we've got quality players in our squad, but if you compare that to a top 6 side, then he's going to have more quality in abundance to help him probably... lift him into an even better player than he is now. And for him as well, personally, he's probably thinking more money, bigger stature club, Champions League football. From a personal standpoint, there's a much more greater benefits of leaving Brighton than there is of staying. So, yeah, of course, that risk is always going to be there. And obviously, and I think also in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking, Potter's just left. The backroom staff's left. Dan Ashworth's left. What's making me stay? What if they're not keeping hold of those people, what's going to make me stay? So yeah, of course, I think he's going to have all these thoughts in his head, and he's probably thinking, I'm better than Brighton. Probably all these kind of thoughts he's probably going through his head. But in an ideal world, I'd love for him to stay because, like you mentioned, he's become so important for us and so integral in the good things that we do now. It's just, do we have the pull power to keep him? I just worry. Like, I know we've got that extension and it's great, but do you want to keep a player under duress, so to speak?
Yeah, like, especially
against their will, kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't want to extend it for a year and then him go on a free. You might want to extend it and then sell him because you could still keep him. You know what I mean? But
then it's like who comes in, and it's like, and then how do we replace his goals? Because Welbeck's not firing. We don't have anyone else really firing on all cylinders from a goal scoring point of view.
Matoma could potentially do it, but right now, and we don't know that. Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, he's the unknown. It's just for me, it's just like, right, if we do sell him, who comes in instead of him? And I know we're really good at replacing people that left. We've proven that time and time again. But still, it's like he's just hitting his form. Like I always moaned about his inconsistencies, and he's finally becoming consistent. And it's like, it'd be such a great shame to see him go whilst he's really making that upward trajectory.
Well, that was always going to happen if he became consistent. Big six clubs that are going to then start noticing. Like even my brother, who's a brain dead top 6 fan, he even mentioned, he was like, he asked me this weekend, he was like, surely Trossard's going to be going soon. And I was like, well, yeah, if you're saying it, then big six clubs are probably listening and taking notice.
No, you're right. And I think that, Trossard, the one thing I do like with him particularly is, especially away days, he's so into it. He loves the celebrations with the fans. He's really got a good bond now, which, that little celebration he does. And I love that because the thing I always ask is with particularly attacking players, with defenders like Ben White, he was very young. He went to Arsenal at a good time for him, and I don't really blame him for going. Whereas with Trossard, he's an attacker. So the pressure's on you, especially if you went to like a Chelsea. He's a Belgian winger. Instantly, he's going to be associated with Eden Hazard, right? And Eden Hazard was by far and wide one of the best players to ever grace the Premier League. So for him to even be compared to him is going to be a massive weight. And my question would be, with someone like Leandro Trossard, do you have almost that worry that, for his personal standpoint, he's the man here. He's a big boy. Whereas, look at Jack Grealish going to City. He's done all right, but he's nowhere near the levels of when he was at Villa. Big fish in a small pond sort of thing. Goes to Chelsea, he's no longer the top boy. And even if he scored 10 goals, he's still not going to be the top man. He has to score 15 to 20 goals because that's the levels that they want. And my question is, Ben, I'll ask you, what would you think of that? Would you rather be the person that is the man for a certain club, or would you just rather upgrade in clubs and probably be a bit less significant in that team?
So it's quite similar. I think the only case you can kind of compare it to for someone that has stayed in a smaller club and being the talisman for them would be Zaha, funnily enough. Yeah. He's the guy that could play for a big six club
16 transfer
and get a decent output literally, and he's linked again I think in January. Or you could, like Zaha has stayed at a smaller club but do well and become a club legend there. It's a dying thing. It doesn't really happen as much. Like I can only think of like Alan Shearer. I guess he obviously done a few seasons at Blackburn and that before Newcastle. Matt Le Tissier, of course, a smaller club.
You see in Italy a lot, don't you? Like De Rossi, Totti, Maldini, like all those kind of that generation. They loved the one club. Like they were proper. You see it,
and I guess you could say it for Lewis Dunk for us, maybe. You could probably put him in that category as well. Harry Kane. Oh, that's good, actually. You had me there. That's good. But I would be surprised if he did do that, Ryan. I can only see him going. I can't see him saying at all.
No, I probably agree with you, to be honest. I mean, I won't spend too long on Trossard, but I just wanted to mention how good he's been. And I think him, when Lamptey came on in that second half, he was a lot more free. Him and March and Lamptey, them as a sort of three. I think that, no sort of disrespect to Veltman, because I do like Veltman, but I really didn't think he was at it at City. Probably the one player on the pitch that was maybe just below par. But I'd say for the rest of the team, we were pretty sound. I don't think that anyone was really bad. And I think particularly Lamptey, when he came on, really changed the game for me. I would want to see him start against Chelsea. Don't know about you. But him and March, I thought were brilliant. It really freed up Trossard. But do you think Lamptey should start soon?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been a big fan of him. Obviously, he went off the ball after his injury. We all know that injury really hampered him in terms of, I think he might have lost that little bit of pace. Obviously, he's still very quick. But and you know, with one of those injuries, I think mentally, from a mental standpoint, obviously I've never thankfully had like a one of those long-term injuries. But I think when you have an injury of that nature, obviously, was it his hamstring? I mean, it can.
Yeah, an operation, didn't it?
Yeah, it can obviously go again, and your hamstring going a few times, that's when you're in big trouble, and you're never the same again. So
you saw it with Varane, didn't you, against Chelsea? Like, he was in tears because I think it was his hamstring again.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I think mentally, is that maybe holding him back a little bit? Is that maybe why he's not still the same player as we knew him before the injury? We also we don't see in training, but maybe does that hold him back going into challenges, for example, or going full speed? Like, we don't know these kind of things.
I think you're spot on. I think that the reason why we haven't probably seen the Tarek that we. I also think that's a bit of a myth, though, because like a lot of the times he has changed the game in the last couple of years, last year probably. And I do think that he's still got it. And I don't get the people that say he's really lost it, because I don't think he has. Especially this season, he's come on and always done well. And I think that, I agree with you. I think that the mentality of it, probably, going into a challenge is probably a little bit more scary for him now than it was. Because he now appreciates the severity of his injury. And maybe because he's had this operation, he really doesn't want to get hurt straight away and be out for another year. And, I think that's probably the biggest factor. Obviously, I don't know Tarek himself. He might be totally different to what we think. But I think it's natural for anyone, really, to be like his nature and be worried about getting injured again.
And also, just on that, the topic of Tariq Lamptey personally, obviously Ghana have got the World Cup coming up as well. And we all know now, with a month to go, everyone seems to be like, just because obviously we've seen Reece James, Varane, they're just two examples in the most recent weeks that have potential injuries that have taken him out of the World Cup. So he's thinking two ways. He's thinking, I've got to be playing well to get into the team, but also on the other hand, I don't want to get injured prior to that. So he's probably in like two minds of like, oh crap, like I reckon want to do really well.
It's probably guaranteed a spot there for Ghana. He probably doesn't think that, because that's not the mentality you should have, that you're guaranteed it. But I think from an outsider's point of view, like, it would be a surprise if he wasn't. But
would you think though, based on, like, let's say for example he doesn't play now regularly from now until the World Cup, as a gaffer of Ghana, would you choose him? Because there's some really good Ghanaian players. They've got really sort of strong depth of field that they can pick from. So as the Ghana manager, would you be like, well, Tariq Lamptey's barely played this year. Why does he deserve a spot in my World Cup squad? That's probably.
I think the quality of Lamptey shines every time, though. I think that whenever I see him play, like, even though he's had his injuries and stuff, you can tell, like, he's a bit of a star boy, isn't he? You can tell that he's really, his first touch is great. The way he controls the ball, the way he runs into players is great.
He made his debut, for Ghana, didn't he, in the recent international break?
Yeah, he done his initiation, didn't he? I think he's.
Was he singing? Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a dancing, wasn't it? Yeah,
he was dancing.
I think he will be there.
I hope so.
Yeah, just to answer your question, I would like to definitely see him start. I think I love the combination with March and Tarek on the wings.
Well, it gives me that 2020 to 21 vibe. Remember when March was pretty much like our player of the season at left wing back? Him and Lamptey were significant in that, and that's before Kukurea came in. It sort of changed it a bit, really.
Was it a game against? I remember vividly the 3-0 against Newcastle when we beat them at St James's? No, at the Amex or St.
At the Amex, it was something like that. Yeah,
it was like 3-0. Lamptey and March, like, just bombing down the wing. Yeah, doing really well.
And I remember that in the away game, Lamptey absolutely ruined St. Maximin. Remember, the St. Maximin got subbed off after half an hour. So it gives me vibes of that, and I'm not expecting Lamptey to be like that, because I think he really set his standards so high at the beginning. That I think with March, I feel like. I'm not the biggest March fan overall. I like him; he's all right, but I wouldn't say he's that next level player. But I feel like when he is a left wing back, he is so much better, and I do like seeing him with Lamptey. They do seem to work well together. But one player that did, obviously, I'll go to the goals now, because obviously the first couple, Erling Haaland. We'll go to the first one. Obviously, I don't think it was a foul personally. I think a lot of people were saying it was. I think he just got absolutely bodied, and Haaland's just a machine. I don't think it was a foul, but I think that it was almost like a bit of a wake up call for Webster, because obviously he's been on a bit of a not on his best form. He's given the ball away a bit, but he's not really been punished for it. And then to come up against probably the best striker in the world, it really punished him. And I think that it really showed in the second half, because I thought Webster was really good second half. And maybe it was the wake up call, not needed as such, but
to get bodied by Haaland.
Get absolutely wiped out by him and see the goal.
He got absolutely launched by Haaland. But I think if it wasn't Erling Haaland, I think it might have been checked VAR and actually that maybe potentially given as a foul. But because it's Haaland and obviously the hype and that he's this absolute machine, that's going to happen. I feel like that maybe helped his case.
Do you know what? Obviously, it's not similar in cases, but I'll explain my logic. The decision yesterday with Lloris and Callum Wilson?
Yeah.
In my opinion, that decision could have gone either way. So if you'd given a foul against Lloris, fair enough. If you'd given a foul against Wilson, fair enough. So going back to the Haaland-Webster, in my personal opinion, if that had been given as a foul, you would have been like, okay, cool, Webster potentially could have got fouled there. If it stood, which it did, you'd be like, fair enough. It was a legit. So for me, it's one of those ones. It's such a fine line where it's if the referee had given it, you would have been like, fair enough. But if you hadn't given it, which you didn't, you'd be like, fair play. It was good. It was one of them ones for me. It was it's such a fine line between was it a foul, was it not? But I think ultimately it was a good decision. For me, there wasn't enough in it to be like, oh, what an outrage! He's absolutely, pushed him, whatever.
But then the other two pens. The other two penalties, the first one that wasn't given was the penalty.
Yeah,
and then the second one that was given, that took 5 minutes after the game or whatever to finally go back to, which is that's a conversation itself.
Outrageous.
Was then given.
From where I was sitting, I was right behind that goal. Literally right. I had actually probably the best seats now for that penalty shout because I saw the challenge go in. I thought, that's a pen. And all the people around me were like, oh no, ref, get up, he's diving cheat. And I was thinking, that's going to be given. Somehow they didn't give it, and in the second one I thought they will give that just because Silva's so tricky. He's got through about 3 players and he's going to get bundled. And I think
stuck his leg out though.
He did a Harry Kane clever moment in my opinion there. But
100%.
You know what I mean?
And also what I think annoyed me was how have you had that much time from the
3 minutes on it?
Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes to then give the decision. It's just outrageous. How can you just? With VAR, it's not the technology for me; it's the morons using it. That's genuinely
even the City fans in the Etihad, even when they got their penalty decision for them, they were still singing FVAR. They weren't even happy that they got a pen. Yeah. That's the standards they have, by the way.
I know. I thought the exact same thing, but for Haaland's first goal. So he scored that goal, and then the camera panned to Pep Guardiola, and he's shouting at Bernardo Silva to do something. I'm like, he's past the point of celebrating goals now. He's just having a go at players for not doing some minor thing earlier. With that VAR break, I can't remember. You have to remind me. Did the ball go out of play?
No, that's one thing that I can sit on the fence on. That's the only reason why I don't get sucked into it too. I wasn't too annoyed because the ball didn't go out of play. Whereas if the ball went out of play, I think then I'd be fuming. I guess not stopping the game. They were trying to let it flow, but then maybe deep down they were thinking they need to stop the game.
It's the same with offside decisions. It wasn't in our game, but it was another game I saw where normally how they let the linesman carries on play and then puts his flag up after a bit. This guy put his flag up early, which he shouldn't have done. He should have let it play on, and in the end, that player was onside. So this is what I just don't. There's not enough clarity between all the rules.
No.
Why is there one rule for one game and one rule for another? It's just,
I think
that
the whole
that happened to us at Old Trafford, didn't it? The first game of the season. Do you remember Welbeck was onside and threw on goal? And they put the flag up early.
I think the whole concept of clear and obvious is so subjective because clear and obvious to anyone is different. You could get 10 people in a survey and ask everyone individually, what do you think of the term clear and obvious? And you'd probably get 8 different answers. So I think that it's so subjective that VAR just becomes a bit of a joke. And I think that especially in this country, it's such a joke, and a lot of the officiating this season, particularly. And we've been pretty good, and there's no reason for me to be salty. So I'm not coming on here like being salty about referees, because I generally just think the officiating in this league is so poor, and you see it 100%. Every single week now. And I don't know what it's going to take to change, because it just seems like we're going around in circles over the officials. I mean, they just aren't at this level, are they? We're meant to be the best league in the world, and it just isn't that at all with the officials. I don't know. But
it's so bad that we had to get some Australian referee to come and join our league now.
The mic. Going back to the Haaland penalty, it was a great finish, to be fair to him. Great pen. Although Sanchez, I don't know, it's like he sort of didn't fancy it.
I think he thought he was going to go down the middle, so I think he just had to stay there. Yeah,
I think the power of it was just like.
It was a great pen. It was a great pen.
It was a good penalty. I never thought he was going to miss that. You just look at him like he's going to score. I think
it does always look funny. Sorry, right. It does always look funny when a keeper stands in the middle because he's thinking he's going to go in the middle and just puts it past it, but just looks like the keeper's forgot to dive. It just looks really weird.
I think he just completely you think about the power of that ball coming at you. I think it was almost like he was maybe going to move and then just.
I don't think he probably would have saved it regardless, because
he'd have barely seen it.
It was a great pen. It was a great pen, to be fair to him.
Erling Haaland's a machine, as we all knew before the podcast, and we know after it. But that's the amazing thing about these world-class strikers. They don't even need to do anything else. They just need to get the goals, and that's what we need. Traditional number 9. That's what we need. He is, and
get him to Brighton, mate. Get to Haaland.
But to sort of round off the game, then I think overall played really well. I think especially after our goal, as you say, before Kevin De Bruyne decided to just smack one from 25 yards, I thought. We were really good, and it's a lot to be excited about. I think the Zerbi ball, you can really see that what he's trying to do is coming through now. And what I do like the most is, like Welbeck dropping a bit deeper and everything. Really proved that Welbeck's still got a role to play in this team. And I almost saw glimpses of the Graham Potter Welbeck in that little move that I think led to the goal, or was close to leading to a goal. We were looking strong, I thought, and I was quite happy with the performance overall. And going on to Chelsea, obviously.
So quickly, just last thing on the game though. Last thing on the City game is Welbeck. Did you see him? How annoyed he was at Trossard when he didn't square it?
Yeah,
he was literally effing and blinded on the bench as well when he got dragged off as well.
Effing
Nobed. Yeah. Van Heck was sat next to him laughing, but Welbeck was absolutely raging. And obviously after it happened, I was raging at him as well.
It's just one of those things, and they definitely kiss and made up half of that. I wouldn't really take too much from it, but I can see Welbeck's frustrations, but equally, when you watch it back, Trossard was running at such pace. I'm not sure if he would have got that ball across.
I'm just laughing because I remember seeing a few
replies
on social. The replies saying he would have missed it anyway.
He probably would have done.
He got cooked on our.
He probably would.
All the replies, all the quote tweets to that tweet we put out. Welbeck got cooked. Everyone was like, "You would have missed anyway, you donut."
Right, let's move on.
Sorry, I'll just finish on the City game. I'll give them credit where it's due. Their fans were very good. I've got to be honest. It's the last one of the top 6 had to do. And I'll give credit that they are probably the best home fans I've seen from a top 6 team.
Really?
Genuinely really rated them quite highly. They were pretty loud on the most part. And bear in mind, they're only playing a team like Brighton. It's nothing for them, right? And I thought, fair play. They are, all the sort of rumours that go around. I thought
You say that though, just again, I know we just keep sort of go back to this again, but I remember before the game, Pep said he was so respectful of De Zerbi. He was like, and he even said, Brighton, I don't know if you saw his interview, it was great. He spoke about De Zerbi, he spoke about players, our players, but he even name dropped Mark, Trossard, which is mad, I thought, which is fair play, but he clearly respects us as a team, and I think so whoever Pep respects as a team, then their fans automatically do as well. So I think that's where it sort of goes off and look.
I take 1-1. This is actually the final thing. I do take Pep's sort of praise seriously. I don't think he's being condescending. I think I generally think he's being quite genuine about it. And he said it about Potter. Look what's happened to Potter. He's saying it about De Zerbi. He's saying he'll make his print on English football. I mean, he's only 46, and you're starting to see what he's starting to do. But anyway, let's move on to the big cup final game that is on Saturday. Chelsea. This is going to be a very, very different game at the Amex. Probably one of the most anticipated games since we got promoted and played Palace for the first time, I'd say. It's probably up there with that. Chelsea at home. Graham Potter, Bruno, Cucurella, all coming back to the team.
Huge game.
The hearts in the throat thinking about it, mate. The hearts in the throat thinking about it. But let's ask some questions then, boys. What are we thinking? Start with you, Maz.
Well, Potter's unbeaten, isn't he, with Chelsea? He hasn't lost yet. And he's had a couple of draws, but mostly wins. It's, I don't know, it's a tough one. I thought, do you know what? It's the kind of game that we'll go and we'll win. Like, it's one of those games that's what I'm getting the feeling.
I hope you're right.
At the same time, they are playing well. He has got them doing well. He's got players like Mason Mount playing really well.
Kukurea getting dragged after 30 minutes.
Yeah,
you'd love to see it.
Yeah, that was fair play to him though. I actually saw that more of a sign of like fair play. Like he's like, so this is the difference, right? Let's just, and I hate comparing the two, but what Zerbi did at Spurs. Do you remember when he goes? I admit he goes for the first 15 minutes. I got it wrong. Do you remember he said that, and he didn't make a change because for whatever reason he didn't do it. Whereas Potter went, I've made a mistake, and he made a change. So obviously it's still very early days, and I fully back Zerbi. But what I would love to see is the same sort of acknowledgement. It's like, right, I didn't get the system right. Let's change it. Maybe not as early as 15 minutes or half an hour.
It's 35.
But even like maybe at half time, maybe like make a change, because I know. We always had with Potter, he didn't make changes till like 70th, 80th minute, which was sort of frustrating.
To be fair to De Zerbi, actually, Maz, on that, I mean, against City, he brought on Lamptey and made the difference second half. I think that that was actually quite good to see a half-time sub come on. When I saw Lamptey, I was like, oh wow, we've actually made a half-time sub, and I was quite happy with that. Hopefully, I do agree with you. Like, making those bold decisions are needed in a manager. But I must admit, like I'll say a bit on Potter, because although I've been watching Chelsea's games quite closely for obvious reasons, right? I want to see how he does naturally, right? It's what you do. And I must admit, the last few games they haven't been particularly great. They've sort of been quite lucky a lot of the time. Against Villa, they were very lucky. They were very lucky that Kepa was in the form of his life. And in the last game, who did they play against? Manchester United. Very lucky to get a result there. I mean, even a draw flattered them, to be honest with you. And even though Man United were the ones that fought back.
They drew 0-0 Brentford as well. Unlucky to probably could have lost that game as well, to be fair. So there's 3 games there which probably should have lost. So, Potter isn't exactly high flying, maybe like his stats suggest he is.
The start of his reign was obviously really good, but
he had a bit of a honeymoon period, didn't he?
Last 3 games have been a bit questionable, albeit they've got 6 clean sheets in 7 games, which is it's got the defence very good.
And also,
two to Barley and 2
he did rotate fully, I think, against Brentford. So obviously, last game Man United, and the game before was Brentford, and he done a full rotation. As in, I think he literally swapped like 11 players out, and he still got a 0-0 draw against Brentford, which probably isn't great for them, but. Then because he obviously wanted to feel
point on the road, isn't it?
Exactly, and then Man United, they 93rd minute equaliser to Casemiro. So I agree with you guys. I think it's definitely an opportunity. They don't come into this game like absolutely flying.
I don't think they will.
Firing all cylinders. They're definitely coming in a bit subpar, which we can take advantage of. It's just, where are the goals coming from? That's my only worry now. Like, I know we've scored. It's not like we've not been scoring, but also we haven't been scoring as freely as we'd probably like. So it's just like, how do we, and especially against their defence, like you said, Ben, 6 clean sheets out of 7, which is outrageous. How do we score a goal against that defence?
Yeah, it's got to be Trossard. I can only see it being Trossard.
Just
or Alexis McAllister.
Welbeck's going to score an overhead. That's what
I'm mate, please inject it into my veins, mate.
Yeah,
he's a remake against Chelsea. Remember.
I want to eat my words. That's what I want Danny Welbeck to do. I want Danny Welbeck to make me eat my words. Like, I've been slagging him off. I've been slagging him off, saying he doesn't score enough goals. Please shut me up.
Reload the Stamford Bridge limbs of that last minute header. Reload that.
I want to eat as much humble pie as you can give me, please, Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I want a performance here, and I think from what rumours I've seen around and things like that, is the players are very up for this one, and I think it will be very interesting to see, because obviously fans are going to have their own opinions. I think players also have their own opinions, which I don't know, but from what I've seen around and things like that, I don't reckon the players are completely happy about it. I think the Lallana thing before the Brentford game, it was clear to see he wasn't very happy, and I think it's going to be interesting, to see how we do fight at this, because it is like a cup final, right? We're going into this game, we want to win this game.
I'm actually so excited for it, but also shitting at the same time. Every time I think about it.
Yeah, I'm actually buzzing for it.
Imagine, do you know what would be? Oh, it's so good. Just picture it. Zerbi at the end of the game, we've just won 2-1, and Zerbi just goes and shakes his hand, just like
smug look on his face. Yeah.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
What we need to do is get a nice fresh trim. Zerbi,
Yeah.
come with this, and then Zerbi's
neck,
glow up,
like
come with a roll neck, do his beard up.
Oh, that was class. Inject it all.
Yeah, needs to come with like some like really fancy rings and jewellery. He needs to really do himself up for it.
Just like some Italian mafias, like come out in suits and all that lot. Really
yeah.
We come out to the Godfather music.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, mate. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. But I'm going to ask the dreaded question now. Score predictions for Brighton against Chelsea on Saturday. Ben, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go and say 1-0 Brighton. I love it, and I think
Come on.
I love it.
I will love it, and I think I deserve it.
I do think I deserve it.
And Matt?
I'm also going to go Brighton win. I'm going to stay confident. I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton.
Getting excited now. I'm getting excited now.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton.
Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you both, but I'm going to say 2-0. They're not going to score.
By the way, can I just sorry, it's just hit me. All three of us are predicting a win against Chelsea. Can we just do that? Like, it's just a bit mad, isn't it? Like Brighton.
I think we're trying to like give positivity to universe. Manifest.
Yeah, it's manifesting, and it's also coping mechanisms.
Yeah, and delusion.
No, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I think that, as we say before, the performance we're putting against City is enough to warrant thinking we could win this game. We look good. The team's up for it. I think they're finally playing for him. They're looking like they want it. I think, McAllister, etc. They're looking good. Lamptey, I want to get a start. March is playing well. Trossard's playing well.
And just quickly as well, I don't know if we mentioned it. I don't know if you guys mentioned it last time out, but also we've got to remember, De Zerbi's had a tough start. Like, he played some really big teams: Man City, Liverpool, Spurs. Now going into Chelsea, like it's a really tough run, and we've got to remember that. And I think a lot of people are forgetting. It's like, he hasn't won in X amount of games. It's like, well, because we played really good teams.
Mate, I would go as far to say De Zerbi's had probably one of the toughest jobs of a Premier League manager. I think he's got probably the toughest job coming here than anyone in the Premier League. I think that it's one of the hardest jobs because, as I said before, he's taken a real high onto a real low, and then he's got to rebuild. That's tough, to come in with the expectation. I think he's really dealt with it well, and he's slowly starting to improve. Obviously the language barrier as well must be tough. He's had a very tough run of games. He's getting used to the English culture as well, which is completely different to Italy. So it's probably a big shock to the system for him too. So I'd say
it's gone from some lovely Italian cafes and patisseries to
some brilliant coffee to shush.
So it's gone from patisseries of Italy to shush. So it must be a tough for him.
But yes, anyway, I think that's about it, guys. Unless you want to add anything else, I think we're all good.
No, I think good. I think that's it, mate.
Comments below.
Comments below. Trust the. What did you say?
What a win for Brighton. What a win for Brighton.
No.
Go with the one what you just said earlier, but I think I deserve it.
I love it.
I would love it, and I think I
deserve it. That's a good one. Right.
Deserve it. Yeah, nice. Deserve
it. Yeah, of course. Right. Thank you all for listening, watching, streaming, however you've been hearing our voices for the past half an hour. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you after the big final against Chelsea. But until then, goodbye.